For 54 years, Homer City burned coal. The station became the largest coal-fired power plant in Pennsylvania, then shut down in 2023. Its cooling towers and smokestacks were demolished, and the site appeared to have reached the end of its industrial life. Now the same land is being rebuilt around 7 natural gas turbines, capable of producing up to 4.4 gigawatts of electricity. If the full plan is completed, it could become the largest gas-fired power plant in the United States. And Amazon has confirmed that it is discussing a possible data center project there. No final agreement has been signed, but the direction is clear. The coal era ended at Homer City. The demand for enormous amounts of power did not. It found a new customer. The Homer City generating station began operating in 1969, about 50 miles east of Pittsburgh. A third unit arrived during the following decade, bringing the station's generating capacity to roughly 2 gigawatts. Its concrete cooling towers rose above the farms and wooded hills of Indiana County. Coal arrived, electricity left, and the plant connected directly to 2 major regional power systems, PJM and the New York grid. For the surrounding communities, it was more than machinery. It was a source of skilled work, local taxes, and an industrial identity that lasted for generations. But coal became increasingly difficult to justify. Cheap natural gas changed the economics of electricity. Environmental requirements became more expensive. The station passed through 2 bankruptcies during the 2010s, and its owners eventually concluded that continued operation was no longer sustainable. The plant stopped producing electricity on July 1, 2023. About 129 jobs were affected. That may sound small compared with the closure of a giant steel mill, but a power plant can anchor a rural tax base without employing thousands of people. The station also left behind something unusually valuable. More than 3,000 acres had already been shaped for heavy industry. High-voltage transmission lines crossed the property. Substations, water access, rail and road connections were already nearby. The site was connected to 2 power markets and sat close to the Marcellus Shale, one of the largest natural gas-producing regions in the country. Starting an energy project on empty land can require years of negotiation before the first foundation is poured. Homer City already possessed many of the hardest pieces. On March 22, 2025, controlled explosions brought down the old cooling towers and smokestacks. The images looked like a clean ending. Less than 2 weeks later, the replacement was announced. Homer City Redevelopment said the 3,200-acre property would become an energy and data center campus, beginning with more than $10 billion for new power infrastructure and site preparation. Billions more could follow if the full computing campus is built. The plan calls for 7 high-efficiency gas turbines supplied by GE Vernova. Together, they could generate up to 4.4 gigawatts, more than twice the capacity of the former coal station. The developer says the campus could support multiple hyperscale data centers while also sending some electricity to homes through the existing grid connections. Construction activity is now underway, and Pennsylvania's environmental agency maintains a public page containing permits for air quality, blasting, water, pipelines, wetlands, and other site work. The developer originally said initial power production could begin as early as 2027, while more recent industry reporting has pointed to 2028. Either way, the full campus would take years to complete. This is no longer only a rendering. Land is being prepared, permits have been issued, and major equipment has been ordered. But it is not a finished 4.4 gigawatt system. The maximum number describes what the campus may eventually become, not what it produces today. That distinction matters because artificial intelligence is often described as software floating somewhere in the cloud. On the ground, it resembles heavy industry. Large AI models operate inside warehouses filled with specialized chips. Those chips consume electricity and release heat. They need cooling systems, backup generation, security, fiber, substations, and power that cannot disappear when the weather changes. The largest proposed campuses are no longer asking for the load of an office park. They are asking for electricity on the scale of a major city. New transmission can take years to approve and build. Utilities are already replacing old power plants while serving population growth and new factories. Turbine manufacturers have long order backlogs. A technology company can secure land and servers before the regional grid can promise enough electricity to run them. Homer City offers a shortcut. Build the generation beside the computers, on land where the wires and industrial systems already exist. If you are interested in the physical systems behind technology headlines, the power plants, pipelines, towns, and public decisions that make the digital economy possible, subscribe to Local Gravity. That is the part of the AI story we follow. The environmental case for Homer City begins with a comparison. According to the developer, the new gas turbines should release roughly 60 to 65% less carbon dioxide for every unit of electricity than the former coal plant. Modern combined cycle gas generation is more efficient than an aging coal station. It generally produces less carbon pollution per megawatt hour and far less of several pollutants associated with burning coal. But cleaner than coal does not mean clean. The proposed gas plant could produce more than twice as much electricity as the old station. Total emissions will depend on how many turbines are completed, how frequently they operate, and how much power the data centers actually consume. A system can emit less pollution for each unit of output while still becoming an enormous source in total. Natural gas also carries upstream effects from drilling, processing, pipelines, and methane leakage that do not appear at the power plant's smokestack. Pennsylvania issued the project's main air quality approval in November 2025. Environmental groups including the Clean Air Council, Penn Future, and the Sierra Club appealed. They argued that the review underestimated the project's total environmental burden and did not adequately consider community effects, greenhouse gases, water, and pollution from the entire campus. The appeal did not automatically cancel the permit, and construction continued during 2026. But the legal argument remains important because the project is being presented as an energy transition. Homer City is not moving from coal to a zero-emission replacement. It is moving from an old fossil fuel plant to a newer, larger, more efficient fossil fuel system built around private computing demand. Whether that is progress depends partly on what standard is being used. Emissions per megawatt hour, total pollution, local employment, speed of construction, reliability, or the economic value of the new industry. For Indiana County, the most immediate standard is jobs. The former station closed without an equivalent employer waiting to replace it. The redevelopment arrived with projections larger than anything the area had seen before. The developer estimates more than 10,000 direct on-site construction jobs across the power plant and data center build-out over approximately 5 years. It also projects around 1,000 direct and indirect permanent positions once the entire campus is operating. Those figures could represent a major economic change. They are also projections, not delivered results. Construction employment will rise and fall as phases begin and end. The permanent estimate includes indirect work and depends on how many server buildings are ultimately completed. The power plant can move forward without every possible data center tenant occupying the site on the first day. A real construction project and an uncertain final job count can exist at the same time. This brings the story to Amazon. When Homer City was announced, the developers said the site was designed for multiple large computing customers, but they did not publicly name them. Then, in August 2026, Amazon confirmed that it was in discussions with Homer City redevelopment. The company said it was evaluating several Pennsylvania locations as part of a commitment to invest at least $20 billion across the state. It also made the limit clear there was no definitive agreement. That wording matters. Discussing a site is not the same as signing a lease. It is not a groundbreaking, a guaranteed investment, or a commitment to consume all 4.4 gigawatts. But Amazon's interest makes the project more than a theoretical sales pitch. One of the world's largest cloud companies is examining the site because the old industrial infrastructure may offer exactly what the AI race is short of: enormous power delivered quickly. Homer City therefore reveals a strange order of operations. Land is cleared before every computing tenant is named. Turbines and pipelines move forward before every permanent job exists. Public agencies issue permits while commercial negotiations remain confidential. Communities are asked to evaluate the benefits before the final size of the data center campus is visible. This is not unique to Pennsylvania. It is how modern megaprojects often develop. The party that can assemble land, power, permits, fuel, and equipment first gains leverage. By the time every customer and financial detail becomes public, some of the most important physical choices may already be difficult to reverse. That is why the existing transmission yard may be Homer City's most valuable asset. It does not merely carry electricity, it saves time. And in the competition to build AI infrastructure, time can be worth more than the land itself. The local bargain will ultimately be judged through measurable results. First, the turbines. When they arrive, how many are installed, and when they begin producing power. Second, the customers. Whether Amazon or another hyperscale company signs a final agreement and begins constructing server buildings. Third, the grid. How much electricity serves private computing and how much becomes available to the regional system. Fourth, the legal process. Whether the air permit survives unchanged or receives new requirements. And fifth, employment. How many workers are hired locally during construction, and how many permanent jobs remain after the cranes leave? Until those answers appear, Homer City should not be described as either an empty promise or a completed success. It is a real project under construction, built around a much larger future that is still being negotiated. If this were your county, what would you require before calling the project a good bargain? A signed customer, guaranteed power for the public grid, enforceable pollution limits, permanent local jobs, or all of them? Leave your answer in the comments. There is no honest one-line verdict here, and that is why the question matters. The old cooling towers are gone. In their place, workers are preparing foundations for a new energy system. From a distance, the story looks simple: a dead coal plant replaced by investment, construction, and an industry with growing demand. Up close, the transition is more complicated. Closing the coal station did not erase the value of its land, wires, water access, or workforce. Building an AI campus will not erase the environmental cost of producing its electricity. Calling the new plant more efficient does not reveal its total impact. Announcing thousands of jobs does not mean every job has arrived, and Amazon discussing the site does not mean a final deal has been signed. The honest version contains both the construction and the uncertainty. Pennsylvania's largest coal plant really did close. A project that could become America's largest gas-fired power plant really is rising on the same ground. Amazon really is considering the site. And the digital economy, often presented as weightless and clean, may depend on a new generation of turbines, pipelines, substations, and industrial towns. Homer City shows that the future does not always replace the past. Sometimes it reuses the same land, the same wires, and the same promise that one more energy project will secure the community's future. The coal era ended here. The power era did not. It simply changed customers.